Musical Talk, the UK's independent musical theatre podcast. Hello and welcome to Musical Talk. I'm Thos, not to be mistaken with The Rock, although we do share the same initials. Well, the Edinburgh Festival Fringe is underway. I am more excited than I can possibly describe or say, so I'm not going to bother. But you know that the Edinburgh Fringe is the biggest arts festival in the world, and a great chunk of that is taken up with new, and indeed old, musical writing. Today we're going to be hearing a couple of previews about some shows which you can see in Edinburgh this year. And more than that, these are shows that I am going to see in Edinburgh this year. So this isn't going to be the last you hear of these. And just to make sure that we don't get too Edinburgh-centric, later on in the programme you'll be hearing a Drinks After the Show section with Jen Green and Caroline Wigmore, and that will be about The Colour Purple, which has been turned into a musical and can be seen in London at the moment until September at the Menier Chocolate Factory, itself a hothouse of musical theatre excellence. What more could you possibly want from an episode of Musical Talk? Well, money, yeah, sex, all the usuals. Well, I'm afraid we're not going to get any of that. I never do. I don't see why you should. So instead, let us get on with the episode and start with our very first preview. And this is the famous multi-award-winning Broadway hit, Title of Show, or more accurately, brackets, title of show, close brackets. And it's described as a hilarious musical about two guys writing a musical, about two guys writing a musical, and so on, but not ad nauseam. The show is by Hunter Bell and Jeff Owen, and I got a chance to speak to the cast of this UK professional premiere during their rehearsal period in London. And so the people you're about to hear are Ricky Johnston, Robbie Towns, Jamie Lee Pike and Carly Stenson, and you may know her from the musicals Legally Blonde and Shrek. So, time to catch up with the people behind Title of Show in this Stagey interview. Musical Talk.
My name is Robbie Towns, and I play Jeff Bowen.
I'm Jamie Lee Pike, and I'm playing Heidi.
I'm Carly Stenson, and I play Susan.
And I'm Ricky Johnston, and I play Hunter.
Now, I'm going to ask you what the title of this show is, but obviously there is a clue in that. But this is Title of Show, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Now, it's also, I think, the British premiere, is that correct?
UK premiere.
Yeah.
Oh, UK, I'm sorry.
That's the tagline.
Is it? I should have included Northern Ireland, I'm very sorry. So, it's the UK premiere of a show which I think has had a sort of cult following, really,
Definitely.
and is known in this country by aficionados of musical theatre.
Yes.
But for the people who are stumbling upon it for the first time perhaps in Edinburgh this year, just briefly, and I'm interested to hear how you as a four will describe it, can you describe the show without giving away any of its twists and turns?
Wacky.
Waxy.
Waxy. It's four friends creating something that they're passionate about together, and it's quite realistic and
Has a big heart.
yeah.
It's a comedy, but has a massive heart, and it's just about the friendship and the relationship we have with one another.
Yeah, and I think the PR for this show says it really well. The show is basically two guys writing a musical about two guys writing a musical.
Definitely, being a musical in a musical, I look at it like the musical theatre version of Inception, just without any of the slow motion special effects and a lot
Although
more.
we do have some slow motion.
Yeah. Totally.
That is a special effect.
Absolutely.
So how did you stumble across it? I mean, forgive me, our listeners will recognise immediately that you're not all from Britain, if I may say. So how have you, as a group, got together? How does one create an Edinburgh show?
Actually, we met online and
eHarmony. No. We were approached by the producers and the directors who obviously wanted to do Edinburgh Fringe Festival again. They did really well with Spelling Bee last year.
They did. It was phenomenally brilliant.
Yeah,
I have
and
every
that's going on
expectation.
tour with our Jamie in it as well.
yeah,
jolly good.
I'm joining them.
So they wanted to put on something else, and I think, like you said before, Title of Show's got a great following, and it's kind of underdone in the fact that we're a UK premiere, so it was a brilliant opportunity to find something so good. The script was brilliant, and have the chance to do it at Edinburgh Festival. Well, it's not been done there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, the company
And they
thrives
approached us.
on unknown musicals. So that's how they came across it. They were just like, well, they like cult musicals. So yeah, they wanted to have, you know, a unique show. And this certainly is unique.
Yes.
Kind of like you.
Oh, babes.
So, when you came on board, did you know the piece beforehand, or has coming on board be your step onto the platform as well?
I found out about the piece back when the first conceptual album came out, and I was living in Canada at the time.
Because Robbie is the most stagiest out of all of us. We just need to add that bit
Do you know what? Outwardly, yes, but Ricky is fairly stagey too.
Yeah, but I try to hide that.
So I've known about it for years, and I've been a massive fan of it for years, and kind of followed it through its different incarnations. Is that the right word?
We're in a church, it must be reincarnation.
Different reincarnations. And if you see the show, you'll see that it's been done a few times, and it's changed every single time it's done, and they've added that into the show. So I've followed it through those different kind of changes. Yeah, it's brilliant.
It was the source material that really brought me to it. Once the audition notice came in, I've been a fan since I was in acting school, probably 5-6 years ago.
2005, is that when it came out?
Around then, I'm going to feel really silly. I mean,
The first preview was 2008, no?
well, the first festival was 2003, so the off-Broadway one would be a couple years after that, and then the Broadway run was 5 years ago, from a couple days ago, when we were still rehearsing.
The anniversary.
Yeah. It's one of the few shows that I actually keep the cast recording on my computer and have done for years, so I was really excited when it came up.
Constant shuffle for you.
I try to keep it out of the shuffle rotation, but every now and then.
I don't have a musical theatre on my iPod, FYI, so who's Stagey now?
Yeah, that's because you probably have a separate iPod.
I try to turn it off shuffle, though. It's weird to go back and forth from Bon Jovi to, musical theatre.
Yeah.
Good shout.
Monkey and
Yeah,
Play-Dohs.
good job. Good job.
Just saying.
And did you know it?
No, I didn't know it, and my boyfriend knew it, and then I downloaded the album when I had a meeting about this. So I listened to it, and then they give me the script, and I read it and listened to it at the same time, and I was laughing out loud on the train, so I can pretty much rang my agent and went, yes, please. So, yeah.
I was involved in a cabaret, and two of the girls had done secondary characters, and yeah, I think it was that one and maybe another song that I'd heard, but I didn't know it really. So it was very interesting, the first read-through.
And the title really doesn't give you anything.
It really doesn't.
Yes.
No. I like
It doesn't
that.
even let you know it's a musical, of course.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that really suits the festival, though, because everyone kind of wants to see something unpredictable and different. So it's good.
I agree.
Well, let's talk about that. What is its unique selling point? Now, I like the idea of it's two chaps writing a show about two chaps writing a show, etc., presumably for all time. For you, what makes it so good for you? You're all speaking extremely positively about it, which is marvellous. Why should I, as an audience, care?
The show in itself, it talks about
Sex.
Only talks.
And monkeys.
Only talks.
It's got everything.
Yeah, it's got everything, but the issues that it talks about we are, experiencing now. So when people go up to the Fringe and they're like seeing your average shows being done, we develop those. I wish I never said that.
No, she's got a point. If anyone wants to watch a show and then, as performers, I'm sure we've all got it, and you go back, you meet your friends and family afterwards, and they go, "Oh my God, so how did this write? How was it done?" This show answers all those questions.
Yeah, That's
this
what
show
I was trying to say.
shows you how it gets done, and all the feelings through that journey.
So it's not a post-mortem, it's a pre-mortem.
Pre-mortem and post-mortem. There's a bit of everything during
it's
this show.
It's a bit of both.
And it's even like when the original people wrote it, they were the ones who wrote it and performed it off-Broadway, on Broadway. It was their story. So these people seeing their show would see, oh, this is what these characters came up with. So for us doing it, it's a bit different because we're not those people, obviously. But it's still a story about overcoming obstacles, doing what you love. You don't have to be a performer to have doubts about what you want to do, or like having like a Duff Empire and stuff. Help me out.
Things that are putting you off, it comes in every industry, doesn't
Exactly.
it?
Yeah.
You have your little people on your shoulder telling you don't do it because you're rubbish and you shouldn't do it. And
It could fail.
Yeah.
But it
And
works.
it works.
Yeah.
And I think that's why
There's
the
a whole
show's
song
got
about
so
that.
much heart as well, because what we are saying is what actually was said in certain points. So there's a lot of heart to it.
Oh, I'm not going to say verbatim theatre in this, but it is drawn from life and real experience.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Oh, it really is. It just
That is what it's about.
you see, because I had assumed it was a fictional account of how this might
No,
happen.
there's some bits that have been
So it is almost
there's some bits that
verbatim.
have been emphasised and
Yeah,
exaggerated.
it's fictionalised.
Yeah.
But there's even like one of the first scenes when they're discussing writing the show, they're saying, what if this is going to be in the show? And then they say, you mean this is going to be in the show? And he says, yeah. And I said, this is going to be in the show? He's like, yeah. And this. So if I said like this, that'll be in the show? And he says, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of playing on
It's
this
so
meta.
very referential. Yes,
Yeah.
Meta's a very good way of doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And does that make it very difficult to play for you?
I think it, in a way, makes it a bit easier because it's real. It's real people and it's naturalistic speech. So whereas, well, it is.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Whereas they were able to put in exactly what they were saying on stage. I find myself, maybe being from New York, it's the way that I talk. And you can inject so much of yourself into these characters and make it work.
Well, with each character, you can probably find yourself in each one of those people at certain points in the show.
Now that's interesting. How do you mean by that? Do you mean you can find some resonances with them? You experience, you feel sympathy and understanding and empathy with them, or
Putting on a brave face or getting carried away with something, or
so the specific emotions are also generic enough for you to know that everyone will have experienced them at some stage.
I would say so.
Do you think as an audience that would be easily pick upable? Because forgive me, we will draw from you.
Well, even the audience may watch it and be like, I've had those arguments with my friends or my work colleagues, and that's a really awkward moment, and then they overcome it, and so yes, the audience would be able to relate to the issues that we are talking about.
And in a really kind of subtle way.
Yeah.
Like not in a very overt way as in like, oh, they're going through that and look at how they overcame it. But it's
not
because
preachy.
it's written verbatim and these scenes came out of real discussions.
I just love it that we were rehearsing scenes, and then we're going, well, how are we going to do this? Well, I'm not getting that bit, I'm not getting... And that's in the show. And
you know
we're like,
what I
well,
mean?
let's just pick that up and just shove that in the show.
So in a way, you're doing the method.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, Ricky and I are North American, and so sometimes we jump out if we're rehearsing and we're just talking in the scenes, and then we jump out and we're talking.
We couldn't tell
We
whether
both
or
had
not
different
Tell when we're out and when we're in because the scenes are that kind of.
Yeah. We're like, sorry guys, are you still running something? I don't know what.
Well, I'll tell you what's very interesting here to me then, because the title of the show is actually surrounded by square brackets. And square brackets, of course, in a lexicographical sense, actually signifies an insert and is a fake border around reality.
Yes.
Now, it
Yes.
seems to me that what you're telling me and the way you're describing the show, it is that,
Well,
as a musical.
Yeah. In the case of the brackets surrounding the title, it literally came from the form that they were filling out to submit their show to a festival. It said title of show and had brackets around it, and they went, all right, that's good, let's use it.
We'll have that.
Yeah, instead of filling it out, they just went with it.
And then that was very meta.
Yep.
Yeah, completely.
We've been using that word a lot.
Word of the day.
Better to be meta.
Better to be meta. I like that.
So, forgive me then. You're talking about the blurring of the boundaries between the text and your own experiences in putting it on as in the rehearsal stage, which is where we are now. Does it cause problems for you? I mean, you were saying sometimes it's difficult to know when you're in and when you're out of the parts.
I think there's been for me, there's been a little bit. It's just because it's so naturalistic. It's really. Sometimes when you're doing classic text or when you're doing something that's very stylized, like,
Coward.
Yes. Or even musical theater, like Kiss Me Kate or something that's of a time,
Yeah.
It's easier to learn. There's a lot of paraphrasing that you can get out of the habit, and you're going, oh my God, or you're saying like this or like that, because it's so based in reality, it's easy to that's what I'm finding the most difficult, is trying to be true to the piece and not make it so much my own that I'm abusing it. Do
You
know
can
what I
almost
mean?
you can get too involved in the character that it might become you rather than you become it.
Yeah.
Well,
Gosh,
in a way,
that's curious.
Yeah, and in a way, some of the jokes are so well constructed
Yeah,
that
it's
when
so
you
well
put them,
written.
that when you start to paraphrase and really own it yourself, you're missing the joke because you didn't place that word exactly where they placed it.
So you can see a bit of honing.
Yeah.
Presumably.
Oh,
They can't be
definitely.
naturally that witty, can they? Or can they?
No, I don't think so. I mean, oh no, they are. But
Jeff, Hunter, you're really...
no, I mean, Hunter got a Tony nomination for best book
Yeah.
for a musical. I mean, it's a very smart script.
It shows. There's pages on. I mean, there's jokes on every one of the 90 pages in the script.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's not in your face.
There's not musical gags and a whack whack.
No.
It's subtle
Although
and
that is
clever.
one of my lines.
Is it? Everyone should have a whack whack. Now, forgive me, I'm going to ask further questions. You're American.
Yes.
You're Canadian, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you're British.
Essex.
Quite right.
Oh my God.
When I last checked, it was in Britain.
I was joking. I was playing on it, guys. Come on.
But can I ask then, for you as the British actor, or one of the British actors in this, do you find that, if it's so close to our North American colleagues here, the way it's written, you can slip in and out of it naturally because you've got the ear for it. Do you have the ear for it, or is there an extra barrier for you as a British actress?
Yes, it's been difficult in terms of references because with the show itself, they talk about that they've got obscure references and stuff, and so that's part of it. But I'm constantly just looking at the guys being like, what's that? Even the wah-wah, I did it completely different. He was like, no, that's wah-wah. Yeah, loads of people, my friends in New York would do that. So yeah, I'm constantly just like, yeah.
I'm constantly followed by a man with a mute trombone or trumpet, so I just happens naturally. Yes.
I mean, and you're talking about the references and stuff, and we were thinking about, like, we've talked about maybe, should we change this, or should we, because Hunter and Jeff have emailed saying, if you guys want to, let us know, we could clear it, and they've been
really helpful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But
Gentlemen,
that's what it's about. It's not really about those specific inside New York jokes.
No,
do you know what I mean?
Those jokes are a part of the friendship, which is really the core of the piece.
it's still a character piece.
So if we change the little obscure little references, it's not. The audience in Edinburgh doesn't need to know who Mary Stout is, or do you know what I mean? They don't need to know that because the script is well written, and that's what it's about. It's being obscure musical theatre.
Yeah, it's just the relationship around it and
Yeah.
how we bounce off one another, and we've worked
Physically and emotionally.
Oh my God. No, seriously though, it has. Our rehearsal time, the director's been really happy with us to, bounce off one another. It's been free. And we've had brainstorming sessions where, during our lunch break, we're like, how do you feel about it? Okay, let's try this. And
so you do experiment with it, you're not constrained.
Yeah, there's been massive experimentation.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there will be all the way up until we open.
Up through the previews.
And shows develop with audience responses anyway. They know
Yeah.
That's massive. I mean, there's going to be laughs galore. Obviously.
But I mean,
but obviously we're going to have to,
And clearly at this point, we say it doesn't matter if the audience know who Mary Stout is or not, but if we get there and it's just crickets, then we're going to change Mary Stout.
The thing is that the point of it is that if we are getting on as people, as friends, as a cast, and that translate on stage, it doesn't matter what we're saying, as long as it's truthful, and the audience will pick up on that.
Yeah.
Well, they'll spot a bum note, but it won't be individual jokes. It will be in the failure of the character or performance, which won't happen. I mean, I actually just have the privilege of watching you at the note session at the end of a long day's rehearsal. Right. And forgive me, just from that, it was a privilege. It really was, because I could say no, but it was a good two-way street. It wasn't a strict director telling you off.
Right.
It was suggestions. Here's what you can do,
try that.
and he was being liberal to you. You might want to try this. You might want to try that. I have a slight preference for this, and and then you say, well, let's make this list and we can explore it later. Yeah. That is the sign of a good collaborative. I'm telling you what you know, but it's so important sometimes to stress these things, because there are a lot of people in the world who think that directors stand there in jodhpurs with a megaphone telling you precisely what to do, as though you were silent movie stars, which I hope you're not, as it's a musical.
No, it's definitely nice that this show, our version of the show, is growing organically, like the show did itself when it first came to
and that's what I love about it as well.
And it doesn't hurt the fact that we all get on.
Yeah,
that definitely helps.
So far. I'll see you again after the show.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
We're living together as well.
We're living together.
Me and Carly are sharing a bed.
So you haven't heard wah-wah, but you've heard that.
Say that bed thing louder so we can sell more tickets.
Yeah.
Me and Carly are sharing a bed.
Right so.
We're not. We do kiss in the show, and we do get naked.
Oh really? Is there naughtiness?
There's no. I mean, we're not going to give too much away.
Well, you are if you're naked.
But we have to sell tickets.
No,
we'll know
we're
everything.
not going to give too much away. We're going to say that we do undress. To what point we're keeping under wraps. We're not saying how much we're getting naked or how much boy on boy, girl on girl, boy on boy, girl on boy, boy on
Boy on boy,
chair,
girl,
chair on
girl,
action.
boy.
There are several combinations
There are
available.
several
yes,
combinations that you will see.
Oh, jolly good. Well, I'm quite British. I'm desperately excited, but I'm not going to tell anyone.
Oh gosh.
Now, can I ask a question about the authors? They are writing a musical, and most people who write musicals are really rather into musicals. Are there lots of references to other musicals in this? Is there something for the musicals, the wide-ranging musical fan to pick up?
Fan, yeah.
Yes,
There is an entire number that is composed of the names of failed Broadway shows.
Oh, jolly good.
They create an entire story out of the names of flops. So I think people who are musical theater aficionados will definitely appreciate that and those references.
It's
And
definitely
it's almost like a dare. Come and try to pick out all the things that we're taking the mickey out of.
They happen so quickly too that you could probably watch the show twice and not be
What a
able to
good
catch
idea,
just one of them.
by
I would
the
say
way.
twice,
I
3
agree.
times.
It's definitely a stagey, #stagey. There you go.
Yeah, very stagey. And the thing about the writers is Jeff and Hunter met in real life at a musical theater camp.
Oh, right.
Jeff is...
How well those words go together, by the way.
He's just got it.
No, but they met at a musical theater camp, and
Much better.
and I know Jeff is a massive musical theater, just buff, has playbills and knows the opening of when it opened, how many performances ran.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, yeah. He's that's
Walking statistician of...
exactly, yeah.
They have a clear love for all of musical theater, and they even have, they still, 5 years after they've opened, have such a love for this show that they're accessible. I mean, I know myself, I found Hunter friended me on Facebook, and Jeff has been tweeting to Robbie. You know, they keep an eye on it because they still love it.
If you go to Oscar Hammerstein's site, he just won't respond at all. Very standoffish these days he is.
They've been so supportive. They've messaged us and said, we'll be keeping an eye out, enjoy it, have great fun in Edinburgh.
They're not coming over though, are they? Or are they?
I don't think
maybe.
so.
Well,
Be nice if they did.
I'll tweet them again.
Okay, you do
It
that.
is the UK premiere, after all.
Yes.
So, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How can people see it? Where are you? What time?
We're going to be at Assembly Checkpoint. I believe that's venue 322 every day at 3:10 p.m.
3:10.
The conveniently placed in the afternoon, so no reason to miss it slot.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's
You
a
can still get
perfect
out and
time.
drink, and you can
You have
still
a
wake
lie-in.
up. You can wake up slowly from drinking the night before.
Will you?
Probably on many of those days. But I think tickets can be found. All the information is on ourtitleofshow.com, also through edfringe.org.
Fringe indeed, yes.
Yeah. And there's 2 for 1 as well, so I know lots of people go up to Edinburgh and they want to see as much as they can. So there are a few offers and things like that, but will be worth it.
And shall you be on the Royal Mile advertising?
I don't know.
Drinking.
More than likely. I would say more than
Yeah,
likely.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I've
We'll
never,
just-
I've
we'll
never
just
known a
have
group of
a-
actors who weren't.
A leaf, stash of leaflets in our pockets the whole time. Just like
So you will at
handing
least be
them out.
wearing pockets.
I'm sure that we'll be advertising the hell out of it once we get up there, but I'm also sure that it'll be the best £10 you'll spend that's not on alcohol at the Fringe.
And also we're continuously making videos and stuff, so we're going to be doing a blog and stuff once we get up there. So we'll
And
be
that'll
doing
be
that.
available on your own website again.
Yep, ourtitleofshow.com.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you how to do that, to spell that, because does that have the brackets in it?
Oh, no brackets.
OURTITLE
Yeah.
OFSHOW.
dot.
Come.
#stagey.
There's no hashtag
Don't
on
put that in.
It's not hashtag
That's
really.
a Twitter thing.
Well, I wish you great success. I'm definitely coming to see you, and I hope to have a chance to see you again afterwards.
Definitely.
When you can tell me what a fantastic, how right you were to say it was a massive, massive success, if I may say, because it is going to be a laugh riot, as they say.
Yeah, it is really.
And I wish you great success.
Thank
and,
you. We'll be trying to spot you in the audience.
I'm
Yeah,
the
let
bald
us-
one laughing loudly.
Laughing loudly, I love it.
Let us know when you're in, though.
Yeah.
I gladly will. Yes, thank you very much. Musical talk. Well, there we have it, and my thanks go to Carly Stenson, Jamie Lee Pike, Robbie Towns and Ricky Johnston. And when the interview was over, I was also delighted to discover that I knew Robbie Towns from one of his previous performances, because he, in 2007, was in the fantastic and almost unheard of musical Iron Curtain, which was put on by the Royal Scottish Academy of Arts. It was a show I went to see and absolutely adored, and I've been looking high and low for any kind of evidence of it online ever since. It really has almost no presence, and yet it is a brilliant musical. And how strange that it should feature Robbie Towns, who you've just heard in that interview. But what of title of show? I can hear you asking, even though radio is usually only one way. Well, you can go and see it at the venue known as Assembly Checkpoint, which can be found at 3 Bristow Place, very close to the Pleasance Dome and the Gilded Teviot if you know your way around Edinburgh. It's on every day to the 26th of August, excepting the 12th. Everybody has to have a day off. The show starts at 3:10 every day, and lasts for 1 hour and 20 minutes, and you do need to be over 16. Rather amusingly, it's described on the Ed Fringe website as some strong language and stagey moments, stagey being a running gag, about the theatrical and indeed meta-theatrical nature of the show, brackets title of show, close brackets. Do remember to put those brackets on when you're searching the Ed Fringe website, otherwise you may not find it easily. And the Ed Fringe website is www.edfringe.com. You can also go to the website of the company behind the show, which is www.patchofbluetheatre.co.uk. It sounds like a fabulous show, and it's one I've been waiting to see in Britain, so this is my, and indeed your, opportunity. But that's not it for our Edinburgh previews today. We've also got the intriguingly titled show Take It Interns, or Take It in Turns, and that's spelt INTERNS. And so it's a joke about interns at work. It's described as a brand new musical comedy that follows the exploits of 5 interns. Unexpectedly thrown together by a reluctant corporation enticed by government funding, this eccentric assortment of teenagers grapple to find their way in an unfamiliar environment and are forced to overcome prejudice and preconceptions to form unconventional friendships. However, working under an enigmatic but ultimately deluded chief executive alongside sexually confused co-workers proves a far cry from the mundane office tasks they had expected. Well, I wanted to find out more about this brand new British musical called Take It Interns, doubly so because it comes from people who are based at Bristol University, which, as you may remember, has proven a hotbed of musical creativity and excellence in the last few years. Take, for example, Jet Set Go and the Great British Soap Opera by Jake Brunger and Pippa Cleary, who are doing great things in Britain's musical theatre scene these days. So, intrigued, I spoke to Ronan Shields and Harry Zundel, 2 of the people behind this show, to find out more about Take It Interns. Musical talk.
I'm Ronan Shields.
And I'm Harry Zundel.
And we are the co-songwriters, and I'm the musical director and arranger of Take It Interns, which is playing at C venues in C+2 for the whole of the Edinburgh Fringe this year.
Now, Take It Interns is a play on words, because I'm sure people will have picked up immediately that it's not in turns, as in 2 words, it's interns.
I mean, you say they pick it up immediately. It's become a little bit of a problem.
Oh.
No, well, not really a problem. People are just sometimes a little slower on the uptake than we initially thought. I mean, it's one of those things that we thought was a genius idea at the time.
It is a genius idea. I think it's brilliant, by the way.
Thank you. That's good to know.
2 half geniuses together.
Yeah. But I hope it doesn't cause too much confusion, and people don't think there's when word hopefully goes around, people don't get confused and think there's 2 different shows going on. But yeah, we tend to pronounce it Take It in Turns, based on the premise that if you read it, you're likely to say Take It in Turns. And then, so if you hear both of them, then you're more likely to put 2 and 2 together and kind of, and cotton on.
Well, this sounds like a good time to actually just give me a taste of what it's about. I mean, obviously, anyone listening this far will have worked out that interns might have something to do with it.
Yeah, so it's a musical about an internship where 5 youngish people come on board with Cicero Advertising, which is a fictitious advertising company. And they are at first given the jobs that we all would expect of interns, filing and making tea. And then things get a little more interesting for them as time goes on.
Only a little bit more interesting.
Just a tiny bit. I don't want to overexcite anyone.
Now, I've read your press release, which explains that, it does explore relationships and about how people forge themselves together in order to meet the demands of a working environment. People who didn't have a job getting into a job, not necessarily having the experience of, as I do, for example, of 20 odd years, some very odd years indeed, working with one's nose to the grindstone. So it's finding out about what employment is, then finding out about who you can and can't trust. And then there's the Alan Sugar element, isn't there? The who's going to succeed and who isn't going to succeed.
Well, it's that interesting thing of all the characters are very, very different. And in very few other situations would you get these kinds of people in a room together, just kind of forced to kind of get along.
And judged if they don't.
Well, exactly, yeah. And I think hopefully the play explores that quite well.
And at the stage of life that we're at, which is just getting towards leaving university, we've got 1 year left at university, and it's something that obviously everyone's thinking about and talking about a lot, is what's going to happen when everyone leaves. And for a lot of people, I think it's a fear slightly going into work. So I think we kind of wanted to tell people and hopefully give signals that there's a lot to the office, and that it's about office life, really, not just work, but about specifically doing the mundane of life in an office.
You're speaking to me, if that's any help. So I've got to ask, because people will say this, well, if you're at university, you won't necessarily have had this experience, although I'm sure that's not true at all. But what would you say to people who put that to you?
Well, that's where it's more about the internship than about the actual work, because we've all done our fair share of work experience and internships. But of course, it's more something that you pick up on while you're doing these things. So I for example, I worked in a recruitment company for a month or so.
Oh, you know the meaning of the word mundane then.
Yeah, exactly. So true mundane, and I just, from what I picked up on the relationships of the people there and stuff, the way they interacted with each other, the kind of friendships that were established there that had some kind of other significance from normal friendships. They're quite unique office relationships. And I think that we wanted to sort of see if we could explore the idea that office relationships can stand on their own as separate things from your personal life, and see whether there was enough interest there. And I think there is quite a lot to be said for the adult characters in the play, because there's 4 adult characters that are kind of given as much stage time as the 5 interns.
Now, I'd like to ask, how did you develop the piece? Because I think anyone looking at the paperwork will observe that it has 5 authors.
Yeah, well, last year we had a show at the Fringe as well. We only ran for 10 days. But it was a musical called Be Fruitful and Multiply, which was a satirical comedy based on the creation story. So kind of a modern reworking in a comedic kind of way. Which Harry wrote with a guy called Ollie Feather, who's also co-lyricist on this show. And you guys wrote that before coming to university, was it? Or?
Yeah, just as during our first year.
Well, a creation story would have to be the first thing you did, surely.
Yeah,
it was always going to be.
So, but then we're at the University of Bristol. So when these guys came to Bristol and were looking at getting it put on, then we started to get other people involved. And that came about, that ended up kind of, the end product ended up being a very kind of collaborative effort between, when I came on as musical director, I ended up sort of helping pen some of the songs, doing some rewrites and things like that. And also, I mean, there's a lot of creative talent at Bristol.
And historically too, I was just thinking of Brunger and Cleary are famously from Bristol, aren't they?
Well, yeah, Matthew Warchus, a lot of big names. And it kind of seems silly when you're in that kind of environment with so many talented, creative people around you not to take advantage of that, really. So that kind of came about in a very, I hate using the word organic, but I guess it's appropriate, organic, collaborative way. And we've really found that kind of works very, very well, specifically for us. It may not for everyone. So that's how that came about. And then when we came to do this, we still very much wanted to write the songs, but we thought our experience in book writing is it's minimal, really. And so we thought we'd play to the strengths of the people we knew. So we've got 2 guys called Letty Thomas and Theo Schofield who have written the book. And we all kind of sat down, the 5 of us, and developed the story. We wanted to develop an original story as well. Yeah, that was important to us, I think.
Good, by the way. Well done. I know, genuinely, new writing is good writing.
Well, yeah.
Well, not always, but it should be.
But I mean, during the process of both this and Be Fruitful and Multiply, I mean, it's easy to see why people don't write original stories. I mean, it's a lot easier to kind of just fall back on something that has a working structure. And
As so many musicals do and have.
Indeed.
But I think it is important, I think, to kind of to get over that a little bit and try and create something completely original, which we try to do. So yeah, we all kind of came up with the story together, actually in pretty intense detail. Like we essentially came up with the scene and song breakdown together for
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because finding where the songs go in a collaborative sense is probably very fruitful and rewarding, but not necessarily easy to come to, I'd have thought, as a position.
Well, yeah, but the reason we did that was Be Fruitful and Multiply underwent some quite severe rewrites, and we had quite a time restraint on that, so that's what we did with that. And we actually found it really, really helpful and very useful, knowing precisely exactly what each song needs to say, what its function was, its place in the story, kind of everything like that. I mean, obviously that changed a little bit when we got into writing it. We were discovering new things that we wanted to say, or found that things were going off in a different direction, and we were able to adapt things around that. But we think it's worked out quite well.
It certainly means that there's a lot of cohesion between the book and the score and the lyrics.
Especially given that there are so many people involved in it.
Yeah.
In the writing.
So it's fully integrated in that sense.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we hope so.
And your own songwriting skills. You two are the people who have plopped the music in, to use a very clumsy phrase. But, how did you discover your own skills and talents in this area? Is it an area you're studying at university? And how did you find each other as writers?
Well, yeah. I'm studying music at university, but I only met Harry and Ollie through Be Fruitful and Multiply. I heard that they were writing a musical, and I went up to Harry at Bristol Performing Arts Formal after probably a couple too many drinks, and asked if he wanted vocal arrangements done,
which I leapt on quite strongly, having no idea, or having never arranged anything in that way, because Ollie Feather and I, who's the co-lyric writer and songwriter as well, him and I started a sort of different background to Ronan, which is that we were in a band which was called the 1945, which hence the name of 1945 Productions.
Your company.
And we before university, we wrote songs for that and did reasonably well. Ended up playing at Benny Cassim just before we came to university, but then put a stop to it when we came. But this is sort of where we progressed to, is into musicals, which is something I've always wanted to do, certainly. So that's where our songwriting knowledge came from.
But Ronan, your particular musical take is being described as being different to being in a band.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been quite into musical theatre. I've been music directing for a few years at school and things like that, and I've done a little bit of work in the industry. A little bit. I did. Well, actually, when I really first got into musical theatre, I did my work experience in year 10 with George Stiles.
Oh, did you now?
I did. It was on A Spoonful of Stiles and Drew, the charity.
Oh, yes.
Her Majesty's Theatre, yeah.
Their gala only a couple of years ago or so, wasn't it? Yes.
I think it was 2008. So that was when I realised this is really something I want to start doing. So I was just kind of working as like an assistant copyist and kind of helping get things together there. And I found that actually vocal arranging specifically was something which I really enjoyed. But you can't make a living on that. We're both quite involved in the Musical Theatre Society at the University of Bristol as well. We just did Spring Awakening as an actor-musician production, which I MD'd and Harry was in the cast, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, good.
And yeah, so two very different angles, I guess.
So the next question must be, how do they fit together? And how easy is it for you as a three to work then on the songwriting?
It works differently. It never really follows the same pattern, I don't think.
No, I mean...
Is that dread word organic coming again?
Yeah. Did you use that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice. Ollie Feather and I tend to write with either him or Ronan. I don't know if you and Ollie write together that often.
No, not without the three of us being there, really.
But Ollie provides, as a third writer, a very useful bridge between Ronan and me, because the three of us often write together as well. But what Ollie is able to do is tell us what works and what doesn't, because quite often we will be sitting at a piano, flying through ideas very, very quickly and probably missing things that may potentially be good.
Sorry, it's a bit of drilling going on in the background.
There is some drilling going on.
It's probably worth explaining that you have just done some setup, haven't you? And this is presumably what's going on in the background.
Yeah, it's still very much go here.
This is the sound of Edinburgh, as it is now. Marvellous.
Exactly. But behind the scenes.
So Ollie is very, very good lyrically and is able to kind of bring. He's quite sort of brings Ronan and I together because our music styles are somewhat different, I would say. I mean, ultimately, what the music we write is the same, but I think our approaches are quite different.
You're both heading the roundabout, but from different entrances.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely the end result is music that all three of us know is our own style, because having written 2 new musicals now, kind of approaching the total of about 30 songs just between those 2, including the ones that don't make it into the final script. We sort of developed a definite style, a certain sound that I think has come about in the last year.
Now that's good, because what you're telling me is that this isn't a pastiche score; it's an original sound. So as much as the original book is important to you and an original story, you've also actually got an original sound which can be, which is yours and yours alone.
Yeah. We both have. We really like, obviously, we really like musical theatre, both of us. So
that's a relief.
Yeah. So inevitably, we are influenced a lot by what's going on and what has been in musical theatre. But I think with having the other influences in there, it does end up sounding a little bit different to everything else.
Certainly more so than last year's musical, which had strong songs, I think, but less originality than this.
Now that's very interesting. I want to say it's interesting that you do draw from the history of musical theatre, as one would, of course, but without, you have your own sound and your own way of writing, and there's a distinctive sound that can be described as yours. But would you say that you have influences? And I'd be very interested to hear who your individual influences are and see if there's any overlap.
Well,
by the way, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah, it's pretty varied, actually. I mean, you are a big Alan Menken fan.
Well, everyone's a fan of big Alan Menken.
Yes, certainly was what I obviously, and everyone of mostly my age, grew up listening to. Probably subconsciously, any songwriter was influenced by Alan Menken, even if they don't write for musical theatre, because you grow up watching any of those Disney films.
Yeah. If you've seen a Disney film in the last 20, 30 years, and Alan Menken's in,
everything good since The Little Mermaid probably was Menken, and I sort of. I think that music theatre-wise, now that I've come into music theatre, he has cropped up back into my life as a big influence. But other than that, I draw from quite a lot earlier musical theatre-wise. Cole Porter is probably the second biggest one.
And this is your lyricist side speaking, isn't it? Clearly.
Yeah, this is a wordplay lyric thing, which obviously then kind of gets cemented by Tim Minchin.
So you're their unusual love child, are you?
Yeah, well, maybe.
What an awkward conception that may have been.
Yeah. You quite like Cy Coleman as well.
Cy Coleman, yeah. Cy Coleman actually, definitely, because that he is what got me into musical theatre. He
Which show?
Well, The Life, actually.
Oh, right, okay. A different answer than the one I might have been expecting.
Yes, not the usual answer. Just because something about the style of music in that show that I particularly like, and the songs, just a few particular songs like The Hooker's Ball and stuff like that Use What You Got, and a few others that were what I don't think I even knew they were musical theatre at the time. I was very young. I was in a singing competition when I was about 13 and was singing those songs. Didn't even know they were from musicals, I think, at the time, but definitely got me into a jazz world, a jazz musical world that I wasn't expecting.
I know that Bonnie Langford covered Use What You've Got, and that's when I knew it was a musical theatre song.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. But then weirdly, I would say non-musical theatre, my influences come from more kind of 70s pop, Supertramp, namely.
I say that Harry has the music taste of a 40-year-old man living in the 90s with severe nostalgia.
Yeah.
Oh, once again, I feel you may be speaking to me. and your influences?
Well, I love Stephen Sondheim, in complete admiration of the ingeniousness of his work. But then more recently, Spring Awakening is well. I listen to quite a lot of modern, like acoustic kind of music anyway. I have done Spring Awakening twice now, and I've maybe that's why. But
Spring Reawakening.
Yeah. And I worked with Duncan and Stephen on Alice by Heart, the National Theatre Connections show they did on the workshops of that at the National. So I've come to know his music very, very well. So that it's inevitable that his influence is there, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to say, really. I mean,
it does move around a lot, because I would say, looking towards our next project, I know that we both recently went to see Once, and enjoyed it a lot. And the folk aspect of that, I think, is probably going to be something that we might want to go down the route of, because one of the cast members of Be Fruitful and Multiply, Christina Tedders, is now in the West End cast of Once.
Oh, really? Down at the Phoenix?
At the Phoenix, exactly. And she was here exactly where we're sitting now, in the Sea Venues bar a year ago with us in our show, and now she's on the West End.
I won't be able to afford you next year, will I?
Oh, yeah.
So take it, Interns, or however you wish to pronounce it. This is the fruits of your labour. When were you conceiving this? And how is it sort of, how long does it take to take this baby from something to everything?
Well, I mean, when did we... I remember quite distinctly sitting in my room and thinking, right, what are we going to do next? And throwing around some ideas. And we came onto this intern idea because I think it was that day. It was a friend of ours was telling us a very funny story about an internship that we had, and we thought, that's brilliant. It's really relatable to kind of to all ages, to people who work in the office, to people our age. Everyone is kind of gonna know where we're coming from.
And then we went through the process of choosing where the internship was going to take place, which had some strange.
At one point, it was in a futuristic morgue, which was specialised in celebrity funerals. I mean, that was weird. That was weird.
It's a good idea, though. You want to keep hold of that.
We shouldn't have said that, shall we? It was
I know. Public domain. I want to see that one instead. But the reason we went for advertising agency in the end is just because looking at Google and stuff, the kind of comic, there's a lot of comedy in the way companies present themselves nowadays. The business chat that is so meaningless and so wordy. And so we sort of wanted to set it in one of those stark, bright coloured environments with funny shaped chairs and stuff like that.
I know exactly what you mean, and a coffee machine that isn't just a coffee machine. Yeah.
But actually, as soon as we came up with the idea, we were really kind of taken it with it, and we actually wrote the first song there and then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is the opening number of the show, in which we had the idea of, as we said before, 5 people coming together, being plonked in the room, not knowing anything about each other, but kind of having to get on. So we thought we'd kind of take that and kind of use that concept with introducing the audience to the interns. So in the first song, you meet every single character, kind of one by one. You really get to not necessarily a lot about them, but a lot about how they present themselves, which is maybe a little bit of a shock to the system as an audience, kind of in the first number, meeting every single character. But it's kind of... We quite liked the symmetry of that, kind of how
sort of emulates what it's like to be in an internship, to arrive and to be suddenly sat in a room with 8 people whose names you're expected to remember, and
which is
first day at work stuff, though, isn't it? So yes. And your cast isn't the size of Aida, so I don't think it's going to be too difficult.
No, exactly. Yeah, you can remember 5 names. The fact that they all begin with the letter A probably isn't.
Well, maybe they are Aida then.
But that's the detail that gets explained in the show anyway. But yeah, especially confusing with this show, maybe remembering names. Hopefully not. You shouldn't be saying that, probably.
Now, could I just explore briefly with you the sort of the tone of it? Now, I'm guessing from the way you're speaking that it's essentially a comedy, but it does touch on real life and real emotions. So, it's about real people and real things. It's just got a light-hearted take on it. Is that fair, or am I absolutely speaking balderdash? It has been known.
Very, very accurate. That sounds exactly how we would describe it.
I'm speaking anti-balderdash.
I was very keen from the outset. I mean, having done I was a member of YMT and things like that, where you kind of you come into contact with people. You're with them in an intense environment for maybe 2 weeks, and then you go and you may never even see them again. And it's those. I mean, that really, really intrigued me. Having such intense relationships with people that may never actually come to anything. And I think the show, to some extent, does kind of...
Yeah, those situations that have a lot of comedy in them that are played on. And also, last year's show was an out-and-out comedy, certainly. Very satirical. And this is not billed as a comedy anymore, but I would argue probably just as funny. The characters are very funny, the script is very well written, and so I think it probably will be as funny as last year's show. But not just, we're billing it as a new musical, not a musical comedy.
Well, you've also described it several times in the conversation as a play, which I thought was very interesting. You really are using the text first, and I think that's the right thing.
I think the story is very important. I mean, a lot of people, I think, just go to musicals to hear the music.
Which we wouldn't want to forget about those people.
Yeah.
Certainly that we're aware of that, because so often people tell us, they come out and they say, these are good songs, or something like that, which they would just listen to the song. Certainly my granny told me she didn't like the words but liked the music when she came to see it last year.
That's compulsory though, so worry not.
yeah, a little bit biased, but
I think that's probably what might make a musical better is when it really has a good story behind it.
And also, I mean, to anyone who is really there to be properly entertained and stretched and whatever, it's a really, really key component. You can't forget. At the end of the day, you're there to tell a story. So you certainly can't forget about the story when that's the main goal.
You're saying all the things I admire, by the way, so don't stop. These, if I haven't seen it yet, but everything you've said sounds jolly good in terms of pedigree and sense and the thought that you've put into it, actually.
Well, that's a lot of pressure you put on us then.
And I am coming to see it, so I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But it won't just be me coming to see it. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How can people see Take It Interns or Take It Interns?
Well, we're playing from the 31st, actually, so before the Fringe starts. If you want to get in there early...
From this week, or Wednesday?
Wednesday, yeah. God, that's terrifying, isn't it? Wednesday,
yes, it is.
So we open on Wednesday, and we're playing right the way through to the 26th, apart from the 13th, when we have a little respite, little day off.
Yeah, lie down on a couple of paracetamol, yes, I know the feeling.
We are in C+2, which is in C Main on Chambers Street in Adam House at 10 p.m. So nice late show, nice post-dinner entertainment for everyone.
And how long does the show last?
It's an hour and 20.
Oh, jolly good. So it's in terms of Edinburgh, that's a good chunky, meaty piece.
Yeah,
it's long. Yeah, it's there's a lot to get across, and we wanted to give it adequate time. Last year's show was an hour and a half, so actually we've gone down a bit, but we sort of wanted to make sure it had something substantial to it.
But we like to think I think there is probably enough content there to flesh it out into a proper two-acter. But I think for Edinburgh, I mean, it has to be kind of a little bit condensed.
Well, everything's truncated, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it works well, though, with this
it does.
story, because they're only in the internship for a week, and so... there's not that much time to get through. Last year's musical spanned 3,000 years.
It wasn't done in real time, though, was it?
But yeah, I mean, it is still actually written in two acts. Whether you'll see the seam or not is yet to be seen, I guess. But
I'll let you know. Don't worry. And do you have a website?
We do. Yes. Thank you for asking. It is www.1945productions.com. That's with digits 1945productions.com. And you can also follow us on Twitter at 1945prods.
What a lovely title.
Yeah. We're also on Facebook /1945productions. And you can get all the info and more that you could ever wish for on all three of those.
And of course, the Ed Fringe website will also allow people to have a look that way.
Might be worth mentioning that we've got another play on as well. It's not a musical, unfortunately, but we have got original music written for it.
Oh, and is it from the two of you again?
It's not, actually. It's written by a good friend and close collaborator of ours, Tom Fitz. It's a film noir spoof called Morag and Keats, and features the voice of Rich Fulcher from The Mighty Boosh, if that means anything or appeals to anyone.
That will ring bells with some people, absolutely.
I'm sure it will. We hope so. Anyway, but yeah, and that's playing in C Nova at 6:30 for the same dates. So big old month ahead,
I should say.
Yeah.
Well, Harry, Ronan, I have to say it's a great pleasure speaking to you. It's also, I can tell you now that it was a show that I wanted to come and see. All you've done is whetted my appetite further, because I now want to see it even more than I did. So when I do, I'll make sure I see you afterwards, and I'll come and say hello, and perhaps we'll talk again.
That's perfect. We look forward to seeing you after the show then.
Musical talk. Well, my thanks to Ronan and Harry there. I really enjoyed that conversation, and I suspect from the background noises you got a real sense of what it's like trying to speak and do things in a theatrical environment as they're building a stage round you. Edinburgh is such a marvellous, frantic bubble, and you get a real sense of that just by listening to the background, let alone the conversation. Well, how to see Take It Interns. As you heard, it started actually before the Fringe. Amazing, I've never heard that before. On the 31st of July. You've missed that now, because obviously that's in the past. But it runs up until the 26th, every day except the 13th, and it's at 10 o'clock in the evening for 1 hour and 20 minutes at C Venues. That's the main C venue in Chambers Street. Go along to the Ed Fringe website to get more details, or perhaps go to the company's website, www.1945productions.com, for more information about their show. Once again, it was great fun talking to them, and I think they've got a lot to offer. So I'm hoping this will just be one in a long line of musicals that we can expect to hear from Harry and Ronan. But musical theatre continues everywhere, not just in Edinburgh. although obviously there's a high concentration there. So, let's hear something about what's going on in London. The colour purple. As you know, created by combining red and blue, and after a joke like that I feel marooned. Another colourful pun. And with jokes like that I'm leaving you Pantone for more. Oh, I'll stop now. Instead, it seems to me we should listen to Jen Green and Caroline Wigmore's regular Drinks After the Show section, where they talk about this brand new musical at the Menier Chocolate Factory.
So we've just finished watching The Colour Purple at the Menier Chocolate Factory. Caroline, tell me about what you thought.
If you come see the show, which you should do, you might find yourself surprised by the audience response. It was so overwhelming. Really strong emotional response to this piece. At one point, there was a standing ovation in the middle of a song, which Jen and I were both saying we've never seen before. Yeah, it's just a really moving piece, really refreshing and original. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, and also the fact that the space is so small really means that you connect with the characters in a way that you don't in more traditional large theatre spaces. So an absolutely perfect space for the show. We are honoured to be talking to some of the writers involved with the show.
I'm Allie Willis, and I co-wrote the music and lyrics.
And I'm Brenda Russell, who co-wrote the music and lyrics.
And this is a really interesting show, I understand, because I think you should tell us how you got involved with the musical version of The Colour Purple to start off with.
I was friends with the producer, Scott Sanders, who bought the rights to do it as a musical in 1998. And originally he asked me just to consult on it and to choose from a couple songwriters he had thought of. I didn't think either one was appropriate, and I told him so, but, he went ahead doing whatever he did. And then a year later came back and said, now I'm going to give you the names of 50 songwriters and just say yes or no if you think that they should write a spec song for the show. And my name wasn't in there. And it made, to me, no sense with the songs I had written that I should not be considered. But he got to the name of Brenda Russell, and she was, not only did I think extraordinarily suited to write the show, but she was also on her way over to my house. So I asked if we could compete as a team.
And let me just interject, Stephen Bray is our third writer who's not here right now. He wasn't able to make it, but the three of us were working together.
Yeah, we were working on another score for a little animated series, and we kept saying, we wish we had something big to work on, because we felt like we worked extraordinarily well as a team. And so when this came up, it was like, yes, we're going to go for it. So we had to write 2 spec songs, and the only advantage we had was that I got to choose who we competed against. But we were up against some biggies, but we just felt very confident. We wanted it so bad. We loved the story. We knew it was an important piece, and we got it.
And how long has it been in the works?
Well, it took us 5 years to write the whole show, which we never thought it would take that long. We had no idea. Had they told me, it'll be 5 years from now, I probably would have said, oh, no, I couldn't possibly do that, because I have a career as a singer, songwriter person. So, but I'm really glad I didn't know.
Yeah, because that would have just been like horrifying. But that's musical theater. So, and we worked literally every day. So it was beyond a labor of love.
It's also I'm sorry. You want to ask another question?
I was just going to ask, you said that you're a singer-songwriter. How is it different working in musical theatre to performing your own material yourself?
It's so different because, first of all, when you write songs, pop songs, we both write for other artists as well. And when they don't like the song or part of it, they just say no. They don't say, would you rewrite the chorus or the bridge? But in the theater, they say that in a minute, or they'll just throw the whole song out, or say you need to rewrite the choruses. And sometimes it was so heartbreaking at first to get used to that, because we get very attached to our little babies. But after 5 years, I think in the fifth,
That's like
in
fine.
the
You want
fifth
another
year,
song? Bam.
we were like throwing up against the wall.
Get a sausage pizza.
It's very funny.
If I could just ask a question, this story is one. When in high school, I watched this film. I wrote papers about it. It's a story that I grew up with, and I guess I'm just curious about how, if you had any considerations, knowing that it was going to be presented to a UK audience. Was there anything that perhaps you were concerned wouldn't quite translate culturally?
I think there's no difference. It's about people, really, and people basically have the same pains and joys as no matter what culture you are in, and that's what we found people really loved about it. It was universal. You know, people came from all over the world when we were on Broadway to see the show. You know.
And I also think there was a great appreciation for soul music in the UK. And I had been here a couple times. I've written a lot for Earth, Wind & Fire, and the response was always so incredible. So we were actually pretty excited that it was, coming here. And we are beyond thrilled with how the show has been done, the direction, the cast, the Chocolate Factory. I mean, we really adore this production.
Yeah, we should say here that it's a very pared-back production, very minimal staging, whitewash stage, couple of sheets as some props, which I understand is very different to the Broadway production. Maybe you could tell us about that as a comparison.
It's totally different, because on Broadway we had massive sets and, costumes and, it was very done up. I like this version because it's really down to the music, which blossoms out beautifully, and the drama, and it's very raw, it's very organic, and people are so close to it. It's such an intimate setting. It's really working well, and it's moved me in a new way entirely.
And I think this feels very much like what we felt like when we wrote it.
Exactly.
Because we composed on, like for percussion, we were banging beer bottles together and, winding egg beaters. And this, and this really feels like raw, real, authentic. So we are overjoyed that it's being done like this.
We heard some rumors about a cheese grater.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way,
kitchen.
Yes, I'm a vintage collector. And they were all authentic to the period. So we were using things made in the 1920s, made in the 1940s. No modern appliances involved in the color purple.
We just wanted to mention the show is running until September 14th. Go see it, let us know what you think, and keep an eye out for what they do with this.
Musical talk. Well, there we have it. Drinks after the show, looking at the colour purple. And remember, it's named after the book and film, so the word colour is spelled C-O-L-O-R if you're looking for it online in Britain. Go along to the website www.menierchocolatefactory.com for all the details on booking. It runs until the 14th of September this year. Well, that's it for this episode of Musical Talk. You can safely say that we've run the gamut of the country from both the north and the south. But the Edinburgh Fringe runs until the bank holiday of August, so if you do get a chance to go there, go and have a look at some of the shows, including musicals. Just randomly, off the top of my head, I can tell you that you can see Kiss of the Spider-Woman, you can see Avenue Q, a show dedicated to Ivor Novello, an adult version of Dick Whittington, Snakes! The musical, Damaged! The musical, Adam and Eve! The musical, A Theory of Justice! The musical, as well as Merrily We Roll Along. That'll be interesting, bearing in mind we've just had one in London. Gilbert and Sullivan the musical, there's a name to conjure with, as well as the Pirates of Penzance from the ever excellent Durham University Light Opera Group. The Road to Qatar, featuring former Musical Talk presenter Josh Boyd Rochford, and a one-off parody called Miserable Lesbians, which is obviously a musical version of Les Miserables. And that's just a tiny number of the musicals that you can see up there. And don't forget also Albion Forlorn, which we've already discussed. That's on every day except the 13th at 6:30 at C Venues in C Aquila, Roman Eagle Lodge in Johnson Terrace off the Royal Mile. So much to see. And it's impossible to see it all, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a jolly good try, and indeed I'm going to try as well. So perhaps I'll see you there. If you are there, and you recognise my voice or my incredible bald head, do say hello. Well, that's it for the time being. If it wasn't time to say goodbye a second ago, it surely is now. So, goodbye. This episode of Musical Talk edited and produced by Thos Ribbits. Accepting Drinks After the Show, which was edited by Nick Hudson. Copyright Musical Talk 2013. And why not go along to our website and listen to previous episodes at www.musicaltalk.co.uk.